what makes us attached to the body. This is the misplaced ego, because we have the chitta, then we have the mind, intelligence, ego. These four things. So the chitta is carrying the record from our last life. So many desires, so many good deeds, bad deeds, or samskaras, sinful deeds, good deeds. So that's carried. The soul travels with this subtle body, and then we get a gross body according to our desire from last life. And then the ego gives a sense identity. The soul, through the ego, the sense of identity, we say, oh, this is me. This illusion, obviously, it's the influence of Maya, it's the influence of illusion to identify with this body. This is the Maya Shakti. Maya makes us identify with this body because of our desire. We desire to have a material body from last life, so we get one. And then when you desire, then the desire is kept in the chitta, and then the ego expresses that desire through the vehicle of the body, so we become attached to it. It's the influence of Maya Shakti. This is the whole idea of spiritual study. Understand the difference between matter and spirit, and that I, the soul, and categorically different from this body, as you said, the body is matter. Aparayami tastvanyam prakritim vidime param. Krishna says in Gita that beyond this material energy, there's aparayami tastvanyam prakritim vidime param. There's this higher prakriti, there's a spiritual energy, that's the soul. And that we have to realize. And then this attachment for the body will be transferred. Because attachment, the soul is attached to Krishna by nature. This attachment, the principle of asakti means attachment. You can't take away attachment. Krishna says, Mamevam cho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. The jiva is my eternal part and parcel. We're eternally connected with Krishna. So when we get correct ego, then our attachment becomes correct. And we're eternally attached to Krishna. We're eternally connected with Krishna. But because of ignorance which is a product of Maya, then now we're attached to the body, material body. And we're attached to this world, this material world. So when the ignorance is removed, then the false attachment is removed. Then with the influx of spiritual knowledge, we express the correct attachment. Yes, I'm attached to Krishna. Yes, I am Krishna's servant. This is the correct ego, the correct identity. This is the spiritual, you can say, the soul's intelligence. So then the body becomes meaningless, just as meaningless as the floor. But then we use the body becomes a vehicle of expressing our true ego. We're in it as long as we're residing, as long as the soul is residing in the body, and then he understands that actually everything belongs to Krishna. His body is also material energy. This material energy and this material body belong to Krishna. And as long as I'm driving this body or residing in this body, I should use this body and every other thing in my command, under my temporary control. I should use it for the pleasure of Krishna. Because this is my ego, this is my identity, I'm Krishna's servant. This is the basis.
It's like making the best use of the worst bargain.
Yeah, Prabhupada said make the best use of a bad bargain. We can't use anything properly until we have knowledge. If you have a computer and you don't have any knowledge of how to work the computer, what will you do? You blow the thing up. You'll just ruin the thing. So any type of machine, we must have some proper knowledge. So the body, as he pointed out, is a machine. Krishna says that in Gita. Yantra Hridaya Maya. It's a yantra, Maya yantra. It's a machine made of Maya. Triguna Maya, material energy. But due to ignorance, due to illusion, we identify, this is me. I am this body. And then part of that ignorance is, it belongs to me. That's ignorance. If someone walks into your house and says, this is my house, you say, you believe that this is your house? Yes, I believe it's my house. I feel it, I think it's my house. I feel it's my house. I will it's my house. I really believe it's my house. It's not your house. No, it's my house. And you call the police, this guy is a nutcase. He's coming in my house and saying it's his. You see, this is an illusion. So the same thing, the soul, we're in this body and we're saying, I am this body. And this is illusion. This is the force of illusion. It's like it's ignorance. When we come in knowledge, and someone says, no, wait a minute, this is not your house. Your house is over here. This is your house is over here. Oh, this is my house. Somehow I got bewildered. I fell into Brahm. I fell into ignorance, and I thought this was my house. So we got turned away from the wrong house and got turned towards the right house. So this is what self-realization is. We get knowledge and say, oh, I'm not this body, but I'm another body. I'm not this material body, but I am this spiritual body. And this material engagement is not my real engagement, but spiritual engagement is not my real engagement. And this is not my real father and mother. And this is not my real place, but Krishna and Radha and Krishna are my father and mother. And this is not my real house, the material world, but my real house is the spiritual world. So this is knowledge. And then when you get that knowledge, then you get the understanding, and then get the revelation, and then you get the right idea, and you get the right identity from that idea. Well, this is me. This is actually me. And that, because that identity is eternal and that identity is correct, it fits and feels good. It fits and feels good, and it works. It doesn't not work. Well, due to ignorance, we're identifying with the material body, which is made of desire, and it's carrying so many desires. That's what I'm saying. In the chitta are so many samskaras and vasanas, tendencies towards desire, samskara, and tendencies to act in a certain way. Then vasana, or desires, which rise from the samskaras. So as soon as you identify with the material body, then you have to identify with the whole package, which means the chitta, and then the mind and the intelligence, and then the identity is the ego. So the development or cultivation of spiritual knowledge is, we say, is purification. But that purification means to purify the identity. Actually, that's what we say, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Because they're all mixed together, and the chitta is like, it's kind of like what you call motherboard, but mixed in the chitta is the ego, the mind, and the intelligence. It's all like embedded together. So if you clean the chitta, then everything else becomes clean. Cheto Darpana Marjan. So we have identity, but it's spiritual. We have body, but it's spiritual. We have a world, but it's spiritual. We have relationships, but they're spiritual. We have friends, but they're spiritual. And it's all eternal. It's just a matter of connecting, finding that.
Maharaj, even the material energy comes from Krishna. So it should be actually spiritual when we connect to Krishna, even our bodies when engaged in Krishna's service.
Yeah, everything. I mean, ultimately, Krishna is the supreme spirit, but he has made this material energy that it has some limits, not limited, but it has some feature to it, that it's avyakta and avyakta. It's manifest and unmanifest. But just like we say, one electricity is one, but the same energy heats the house or cools the house, runs your microwave and runs your air conditioner. The electricity is one, but the functions are different. So ultimately, all the Krishna's energy is one. God is one, and His energy is spiritual. But some energies act eternally in relationship with Him, and they're eternally existing. That's a spiritual energy. And some energies are acting in a temporary way. They're manifest. They're also eternal. Material energy is also eternal, but it's temporarily manifest and then unmanifest, manifest and unmanifest. But that manifestation, unmanifestation is eternally. So everything about God is eternal. Energy is this energy of Krishna is basically one, but it acts in different ways. The Antaranga Shakti, or the spiritual energy, acts differently than the Bahiranga Shakti, by his will. The spiritual energy, Antaranga Shakti, is always eternally manifest. And this external energy, Bahiranga Shakti, is manifest and unmanifest. And we're in the middle, we're Tatastha Shakti, and we're also eternally manifest, because we're spiritual. But we're in this body, so this body is the same way, because it's Bahiranga Shakti. It's manifest and then unmanifest. We're born and die. But the soul is always manifest, and it goes into another body. So when this soul turns its face towards Krishna, engages in his service, then this body becomes spiritualized. Prabhupada used the term spiritualized, like spiritual. It's still material. It's like you take an iron rod, it's steel, it's iron, and you put it inside the fire, and it gets very, very hot. Red hot. It turns red in color. Then you take it out, and you can use it to burn things. But by its nature, it's still iron, but now it's become so much associated with fire, it's taken on the qualities of fire. It's fire-like. It's fireized. So our body is still protein and carbon and hydrogen and fat and all these things. Chones, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur. These 5 basic elements. But when the body is engaged in Krishna's service, then it becomes spiritualized. Jivan mukta siyuchate. Iha yasya harir dasya. Karmana manasagira. There's one verse. Iha yasya harir dasya. Karmana manasagira. When one is engaged as a servant of Haridas, his karmana, his works and deeds, and his thinking and thoughts and feelings, karmana manasagira, and his words, gira, his speech, then he's jivan mukta siyuchate. The jiva is actually liberated. Because what does liberated mean? What does the term liberated mean? We say mukti or mukta jiv. Liberation means that you never die. You never never born, never die anymore. So when you're engaged in Krishna's service, you're liberated. Even though the body will go, but then when you leave the body, you won't take another birth. Because I said liberation means no more birth, no more death. So jivan mukta siyuchate. So the jiva who is engaged in Krishna's service is liberated. So this is the point you were making, quite a great point, that when one is engaged in Krishna's service, then he's actually in a spiritual energy. And Krishna is telling that in Gita also. What is that verse from Gita? Do you know that verse in Gita? Daiviyesha gunamayi. Mama maya dharatiya. Mami veye prapadyante mayamitam dharatite. So Krishna is saying that those great souls, those smart people, Mahatmas, they understand. They come by acquiring transcendental knowledge. They realize that life is meant for the service of Krishna. And everything else is superfluous, secondary, and unnecessary. But it's just, we're being pushed that way to engage in these superfluous activities due to our prarabdha karma, our previous karma. There's nothing more that a human being should do than serve God. This is really the whole purpose of human life. And because he owns everything, he's controlling everything, he's created everything, including us. And he wants our love, and he wants us to serve him. And he's a very nice person. He's a very good friend and a very good master. He's not mean, and he's not envious, and he's not desirous. He's self-sufficient. He doesn't require anything from us. But it behooves us, it's good for us to work for him. It's good for us to join his company. So he comes and says, listen, you're suffering. Why not come, join me. Join my company. Sign on. Government job. No, I have my own concern. Independence. I don't want to surrender. It's scary. Surrender is scary. I have so much to lose. I'll forfeit so much. I'll lose so much. I have to give up so much if I surrender.